flush toilet system. This converts your existing toilet instead of the flapper, takes out the flapper and puts this special deal in. Now this deal, I'm going to make sure all the parts are there first. It's got several different parts. This is the flush valve assembly, replacing the flapper. Then it's got several different adapters. It's got an angled adapter here. That's what I may be using. It's got some putty down here that seals in the seat. Replacing the seat. Here's our extension. We're going to be adding to go up and over into the fill tube. This basically installs on right here. Installs on like so, right there. And instructions say to remove this foam on the dials before using. So go ahead and do that. Okay. So there's our dials. What this does is allow you to have an upward flush for liquids and a down flush for solids. In the words of the famous astronaut, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Anyway, here's our handle here, the dual action handle. Just like regular toilet handles, this is reverse threaded. Very simple there. And this also has an adapter for a brass seat, which I won't be using today. The other thing you may need with this kit, depending on your setup, I've got a fill valve here, regular type fill valve. You may need the whole thing. This is kind of the recommended type of fill valve for this. And it's a good idea to replace the whole thing at the same time to get your longevity. It'll last about 5 years. Here's the whole thing. At the very least, you'll need a longer fill tube. You can see my fill tube on this one is a bit too short. That's not going to work because it needs to extend all the way down to the fill tube on the assembly right here. Which I'll be putting on right now. And some types will have a ring clamp that clamps on here. This one just grabs on like so, nice and snug, and then this goes up to our fill line. Since I already have a existing fill valve, I'm just going to be replacing the top half. I'm going to slip this nut up and pull the top part off, and I'm just going to replace this portion. If you were going to install the whole thing, what you want to do is take this part off right here, and then this inner part you'll kind of tear out, and this you'll slide over the threaded portion like so, and then you'll attach that to the bottom of the toilet. But anyway, I'm just going to be doing the top half, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the water off down below at the angle stop right here. And then we'll flush our majority water down and out. Now there's another good reason to use this kit. This is pretty much one of my favorite flappers here. It's a 5-year flapper, and we're going to be getting rid of that. Sometimes you'll run into a fill tube here that's too wide, and I'll just kind of show you what happens is this squeezes against that fill tube and gets stuck, and it'll hang up like so. So this is kind of a good situation for that. Now I've gotten around that sometimes just by bending the arms of this out and then using it that way to make it a little bit wider, so it would be less likely to get stuck. But that would be a good situation to use this approach because it saves some water and it fixes that problem also. So anyway, here we've got our handle. And the handle is just reverse threaded to take it off. So we're going to go in reverse, remove the handle, and we're not going to need that anymore. Again, that threading is reversed. And for our fill valve, we're going to take the top half off by releasing that lower collar nut that's down there, and then pull the top straight off. And we want to avoid bending the bottom of the tube. And we can pull this old fill line out also. Anyway, that one's a junker. Okay, so looking down here, we don't have a brass seat, we have an angled seat. So we're going to use the deal that came with the kit. And this is it just pushes into place with putty to make this straight up and down. So we'll just pull this paper off here and leave the putty in place. And it's got a couple little locking tabs. Pretty straightforward. You know, this little arrow aims right at the fill valve and you just push it down into place. And then we'll seat that a little firmer as we push the new deal on. So that arrow is going to line up with our deal here. We're going to take this connects to the flush handle. So we're going to move that out of the way. Here's our fill tube, and then here's our water tube that we're going to connect up and over into our deal. And again, we're just going to push this down, line up the arrows, and then we'll push it down into place. There we go. We're clipped on. Push down just a tiny bit to make it nice and snug. The little fill tube is going to go up and over and insert into the fill tube, like so. And then the other tube is going to connect to our new fill valve. And we can trim this down if we need to, or we can leave it longer, whatever we need to do here. Once we get that to a good spot, and that looks pretty good there, we can push the collar nut down. To lock it into place. And now our fill valve assembly is all in place. And now all we have to do is set up our handle here. With the fill handle portion here, what we need to do is put this straight up and down. Okay. So this part here, we're going to want to align, and we're going to want to, it's reverse threaded as I told you before, so just spin it on there. Okay. And now we're going to put our little deal on and just basically line this up so it's up and down. I got that a little wrong there. Okay. So there's our arrow there lined up. And now we just push this on. There we go. Okay. So we've set everything the way it should be. Now we're ready to turn the water back on and test it out. So here goes. You can see it going up and over through the fill tube. And we've got adjustments here for how much flush. Minimum to the right, maximum to the left. We're going to want to make sure our fill tube is not filling up and over the deal here. Make sure our handle's tight here. That's good. So now we'll try it with a little half flush, which is up. So here's the half flush. I definitely may need to adjust that a little bit. So in order to adjust it, we're going to push it down to turn it. The blue disc is for the full flush, and the green disc is for the half flush. So I'm going to adjust the half flush first. Okay, and we'll try it. Still doesn't seem to be enough. We'll go on the max setting. That still doesn't seem to be really enough. What I'm going to try doing is adjust the level of the fill valve itself. Lift that up another notch. Before I get too far, I'll test it on a full flush. And that's good. And what I'm going to need to do is raise that fill valve up, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off down below. Release the nut and pull it up a little bit so that we get a little bit more flush. Okay, so we'll release the nut and then lift this up more. There we go. That's, I think, about as high as I'm going to get with my tank. And turn the water back on. Little minor details we're getting there. So now our water shut off just below our fill tube, and it's also well below our handle, so that's perfect. So now we'll go ahead and I'll try the half flush again, and we'll see if that makes any difference here. So pulling up for the half flush. Still not as much water as I'd like it to. And I suppose I can hold it down and go as much water as I want. You know, that's a half flush right there. But it doesn't seem to be fitting to the purpose. It should be a little bit more automated. Okay, so I'm going to test it out on the half flush again here now that I've got the tank lid on. Ooh, I don't like that. The tank lid kind of hits it. Full flush is fine. Half flush seems to be a problem. Got some instructions for this. Going into new territory here. It says remove the handle actuator by holding the top end of the actuator. Okay. And it says to move it down by 15 degrees. And then reinsert the handle here. So we'll try that. There we go. Oh yeah. I think that'll be better. Oh, you didn't get to see a thing, did you? Alright. So what we did is took this part off and then rotated the handle down a ways and then insert this on. And now we've got it a little more where it's down a little bit more, but I think I did it a little too far. So I'm just going to work it out here. We'll pull this off here. And then we're going to position this about where we want it. In order to clear the lid. I think that's about right. It's just going to be a matter of trial and error here with the lid. Okay. There's our handle. So we're going to go up. So I don't really like that how you're pulling it around the side. So I'll have to turn it down more. That's too bad. There we go. Okay, so now we'll go up for the half flush. Alright, well not perfect, but that's the Duo flush system. Didn't come out perfectly ideal for me in the way that this hits, but that's about as good as it's going to get for me there. Not sure I like that too much. If worst case scenario, I just convert it back to a regular flush. Okay, so I didn't really like that setup. What I'm going to try to do is reposition this so it seats further out. So what I'm going to do is pull the back off here, set that aside, and then try to put a spacer here, and maybe I can make this so it clears. Clears the front like so instead, and see if that actually clears the lid. So I'd rather have that seat a little bit more normal. Yeah, that'll work. See if I can position it like that, and that would work. Make this work out here, not be a complete loss. There we go. No, that's too big. Go with not there. See if it clears okay. Pretty good. For the upside and the downside. So I'm going to try a different attempt at making this better. What I have is some key rings. I'm going to see if this will work out to fit behind there instead of this deal here. Yeah, we're reverse threaded here, so there we go. And let's see if these rings will fit. Oh, almost, huh? Two of them here. Oh, this one's a little smaller, so that's good. Let's go with the smaller one first. No? Gonna go with the big one first. We still want a little bit of the square portion to seat into the deal so that it presses into there a little bit. Anyway, there we go. Tighten it down enough. And we're just using those as spacers so we can clear the lid. Without the whole deal turning. I think that's something they can design a little bit, is some spacers for that can come with the kit, just in case other people run into that, where it's not clear in the lid. Try it on the half flush now with the lid in place. That did it. That'll work. Anyway, that's the Duo Flush. A little custom job in the Duo Flush. Well, I wound up changing back to the tried and true because I just didn't like the way that handle sat. So let's change things back to normal. What are you gonna do?